I went through every single one of Trump's executive orders that he signed on his very first day in office. So let's go through them. I believe I counted 41 in total. Now, if you're watching this video instead of just like throwing your phone aside or whatever to listen to it, I am going to be reading off my phone because I spent literally hours yesterday creating a giant thread on X to be able to go through them all. So I went through every executive order. I tried to read the whole thing. If I didn't read it in total, I at least skimmed it. So let's just get right into it. Let me know which orders you're excited about, which ones you're not excited about. So number one, withdrawing from the Paris Agreement effective immediately. A lot of people know this as the Paris Accords. Then delivering emergency price relief. So a lot of people, it was funny to see because a lot of Democrats, like senators and stuff, were posting that Trump did nothing his first day of office to try to help with the cost of living problem, but he did sign an executive order about it. And it says, quote, "I hereby order the heads of all executive departments and agencies to deliver emergency price relief consistent with applicable law to the American people and increase the prosperity of the American worker." It is a little vague. I feel like we're just going to have to see what happens with this one. I don't know exactly how this is actually going to play out, but we will see. There will also be a hiring freeze. A temporary freeze of hiring until the Trump administration is fully in place. This does exclude the military. It says, additionally, within 90 days of the date of this memorandum, the director of the Office of Management and Budget, in consultation with the director of OPM and the administrator of the United States DOGE services. So this is the first time in writing we have DOGE. So, and just a side note, there, I guess, was a falling out. Vivek is not a part of DOGE anymore. That's kind of what happens if you are against the Trump agenda in any way. You're very quickly booted out. But getting back to it, it says that they shall submit a plan to reduce the size of the federal government's workforce through efficiency improvements and attrition. So that's good stuff. That is a campaign promise that looks like it's being met. There will also be regulatory freezes. Same thing as just temporary. Quote, "Do not propose or issue any rule in any manner, including by sending a rule to the office of the Federal Register until a department or agency head appointed or designated by the president afternoon of January 20th reviews and approves the rule." So they just don't want Biden's regulations and rules being passed before the Trump administration can have a say. There will also be a return to in-person work if you are a federal employee. I was a little shocked actually reading this. I don't think it's as severe as they kind of led on. They kind of made it sound in person, like they made it sound yesterday that you need to return to in-person like today or you're losing your job, no exceptions. But there are exceptions. It says heads of all departments and agencies in the executive branch of government shall, as soon as I can talk sometimes, practicable. Okay, you know what I'm saying. Take all necessary steps to terminate remote work arrangements and require employees to return to work in person at their respective duty stations on a full-time basis, provided that the department and agency heads shall make exemptions they deem necessary. So department heads will actually have some say in this. Next, end the weaponization in government. The Attorney General, in consultation with the heads of all departments and agencies of the United States, shall take appropriate action to review the activities of all departments and agencies exercising civil or criminal enforcement authority of the United States. And I guess I didn't quote it in this thread, but I did find it interesting because it did say that if the Attorney General does find that there were people who were targeted because of political beliefs, that the Attorney General needs to come up with like remedial action, so to remedy the situation. So I thought that was pretty cool. Restoring freedom of speech, of course, a fan favorite. Quote, "It is the policy of the United States to secure the right of the American people to engage in constitutionally protected speech." Also, keep in mind, these executive orders are much longer than what I'm quoting. I just went through each executive order and pulled out kind of the important part. Usually the beginning has like an introduction where the president kind of drags on why they're signing this, and then it actually says like policy and gets into it. So next one, rescinding 78 Biden executive orders. So like I said, I think Trump signed like 41 orders. He said he was going to sign 200. So some people consider this 78 orders, even though it was just one order, but it doesn't matter. So, and I didn't go through all of them, just skimming the titles. It was a lot of DEI policies and climate policies. Okay, and then grant a full, complete, and unconditional pardon to all other individuals convicted of offenses related to events that occurred at or near the United States Capitol on January 6th. I did think that was a little extreme. Not gonna lie, I know a lot of people are really excited about this one. I do believe that most people that were at the Capitol were peacefully protesting, but I don't think if someone was actually found guilty of like harming an officer or something, I don't think they should have been pardoned. But I guess the other side of that argument, I guess I'm talking myself out of it, because if there really were FBI agents there to, get people riled up, then I do see that argument. But let me know your thoughts on that. Extending the TikTok deadline. Quote, "I hereby order the Attorney General not to take any action on behalf of the United States to enforce the act for 75 days. So Trump said, we're not going to enforce the law for 75 days, which, a lot of people are upset about that. A lot of politicians are upset about that because it is a law. It is the president's job to execute the laws. But in the meantime, Trump is going to try to cut a deal with TikTok to save the app and make the United States some money. Withdraw from the World Health Organization, another fan favorite. I don't think I need to get into that one too much, but yeah. Restoring accountability, which reinstates a previous executive order and adds that, quote, "Employees in or applicants for scheduled policy career positions are not required to personally or politically support the current president or the policies of the current administration." I thought that was really cool, honestly, because it's kind of like a thing. The more I research about everyone that Trump keeps close to him, it's everyone that's just Trump loyalists. So it's kind of like his policy now that you don't have to be a Trump loyalist to work for his administration. So I thought that was cool. Holding former officials accountable for election interference. Takes away security clearance for, if you don't remember, there were 51 CIA agents who signed a letter saying that the Biden laptop story was Russian disinformation. And obviously we found out through court proceedings, Hunter Biden's court proceedings, that the Biden laptop was real. And it wasn't Russian disinformation. So he took the security clearance of those 51 CIA agents away that signed that letter, plus John Bolton. So it's just funny because, John Bolton, Liz Cheney, all these people supported Harris. And it's like, of course, because Trump was not happy with them and probably wouldn't have went after them. And John Bolton was one where he didn't necessarily go after him, in courts, but did take a security clearance away. Moving on, he declared a national emergency at the border. I don't think I really need to get into that one. I do have some quotes from the order, but I don't think I need to get into that. There's probably like 5 or 6 executive orders that really kind of all say the same thing, that there's an issue at the border and we need to close the border. Resolve security clearances. Quote, "Because of this backlog and the bureaucratic process and broken security clearance process, individuals who have not timely received the appropriate clearances are ineligible to access the White House complex, infrastructure, and technology and are therefore unable to perform the duties for which they were hired. This order prioritizes these clearances." So there's people that are in the Trump administration that can't access the White House because they haven't got their security clearance yet. The Biden administration was behind on those, whether intentional or not, we don't know. But so this order prioritizes those. Also, America First trade policy, quote, addressing unfair and unbalanced trade, investigate the feasibility of implementing an external revenue service, ERS, to collect tariffs, duties, and other foreign trade-related revenues. Next one is clarifying the military's role. It is the policy of the United States to ensure that the armed forces of the United States prioritize the protection of the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the United States along our national borders. I feel like it's kind of a redundant one. It's just, another one about the border. Unleashing American energy. This is another one that there's a few orders that say this, but this one had quite a bit inside of it. It is the policy of the United States to encourage energy exploration and production on federal lands and waters, including on the outer continental shelf, in order to meet the needs of our citizens and solidify the United States as a global energy leader long into the future. Ensure an abundant supply of reliable energy is readily accessible in every state and territory in the nation, and eliminate the electric vehicle mandate. Also, realigning the United States refugee admissions program. The United States will admit only those refugees who can fully and appropriately assimilate into the United States, and to ensure that the United States preserves taxpayer resources for its citizens. What a crazy thought. Okay, now this next one's a big one. A lot of people are going to be upset. Some people are going to be happy. So let's get into it. It's called Protecting the Meaning and Value of American Citizenship. It's all about citizenship. So, quote, it is the policy of the United States that no department or agency of the United States government shall issue documents recognizing United States citizenship or accept documents issued by state, local, or other governments or authorities to blah, 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 blah. Okay, so the United States cannot grant citizenship to someone. That person's mother was, hold on. They can't, okay, so when that person's mother was unlawfully present in the United States and the person's father was not a United States citizen or lawful permanent resident at the time of said person's birth, or 2, when that person's mother's presence was in the United States was lawful but temporary, and the person's father was not a United States citizen or lawful permanent resident at the time of said person's birth. So they are not to grant citizenship in those cases, which means, okay, a lot of people don't realize you can be in this country legally without being a citizen. You can be here on a temporary visa, work visa, school visa, whatever have you, or you can be a permanent resident, okay? Permanent residents are not citizens. They're like an in-between, not a citizen, but here legally. So if you are a permanent resident, one of your parents, okay, we'll just talk about it that way. If you have a parent that is a permanent resident, only one can be here illegally, the other one is a permanent resident or a citizen, then that child will get citizenship. This order is already being challenged in the courts, okay? A president executes the laws on the books. The president does not make laws, okay? This will 100% go to the Supreme Court, and they will decide if this is even constitutional. So how it's always been is if you are born here, you are a citizen. So a lot of times what happens is there are anchor babies. So people will come here, a couple will come here illegally, have their baby. The baby's now a citizen. So now they're not going to deport the parents because they can't deport that child. So that's how a lot of people come here illegally. So this is really what the order is trying to prevent. I think it goes a little too far. I believe if you are here legally, then your child should be a citizen if they're born here. Obviously, it doesn't really matter what I think. It matters what the law says. So that's why I think people need to not get their panties in a bunch until the Supreme Court rules on this. Now, a big misconception is that this applies to people who have been here for years. It doesn't. The bill or the executive order says that this is effective 30 days in the future. So even if you were born here, both of your parents were illegal, doesn't matter. You're fine. This is 30 days into the future. Okay. I know that's going to be a huge one. There's a lot of talk about it. Okay, another one that just says secure the borders. It is the policy of the United States to take all appropriate action to secure the borders of our nation. This will include building a wall and deporting illegals. Putting people over fish. Route more water from the Sacramento, San Jose Delta to other parts of the state for use by the people there who desperately need a reliable water source. Next, restoring the death penalty. The Attorney General shall pursue the death penalty for all crimes of a severity demanding its use. Next, promote beautiful civic architectural. First, staff to submit to me within 60 days recommendations to advance the policy that federal public buildings shall be visibly identifiable as civic buildings and respect regional, traditional, and classical architectural heritage in order to uplift and beautify public spaces and ennoble the United States and our system of self-government. So that was a cool one. My thread on X was so big I ran out. It literally was like, you can't add any more. So I had to do a part 2. So that was kind of funny. So part 2, restoring accountability. The president must be able to trust that the executive branch will work together in service of the nation. My administration will restore a government of the people, by the people, for the people. Kind of, generic, but okay. National energy emergency. The heads of executive departments and agencies shall identify and exercise any lawful emergency authorities available to them, as well as all other lawful authorities they may possess to facilitate the identification, leasing, sitting, production. You get it. You get it. I don't need to keep going on. Okay. Withdrawal of wind leasing. I hereby withdraw from disposition for wind energy leasing all areas within offshore continental shelf, blah, blah, blah. You get it. Okay. This is a big one. I'm excited about this one. You could tell me what you think. Reevaluating foreign aid. There will be a 90-day pause in United States foreign development assistance for assessment of pragmatic efficiencies and consistency with the United States foreign policy. So for 90 days, there will be a pause on foreign aid. I'm excited. I hope you're excited. I'm very excited about that one. And hopefully it continues past 90 days. We need to take care of our own people before we can take care of anyone else. I don't want to see any of my money going overseas when there's veterans on the street today. I would like to take care of that first. National Security Council. The National Security Act of 1947, as amended, established NSC to advise the president with respect to the integration of domestic, foreign, and military policies relating to national security. Okay, and then the next one, global tax deal. The Secretary of the Treasury and the permanent representative of the United States to the OECD shall notify. There's so many acronyms and stuff. Let's see. Okay, so that any commitments made by the prior administration on behalf of the United States with respect to the global tax deal have no force or effect within the United States, absent an act by the Congress adopting that relevant provision. Okay. Protecting the American people against invasion, another border policy. It is the policy of the United States to faithfully execute the immigration laws against all inadmissible and removable aliens, particularly those aliens who threaten the safety or security of the American people. Almost there, guys. Are you still with me? Unleashing Alaska's extraordinary resources. It is the policy of the United States to fully avail itself of Alaska's vast lands and resources for the benefit of the nation and the American citizens who call Alaska home. Okay, another one about security, protecting the United States. I don't think I need to get into this one, honestly. It's just, it says that we need to like screen people that come into the country. Okay, got that. Okay, and then there was a first, I don't know if you saw, but Marco Rubio officially got confirmed as Secretary of State unanimously, which was pretty shocking, honestly. But I guess he was a senator, so, he's homies, I guess, with everybody in the Senate. But he got his first directive: as soon as practicable, the Secretary of State shall issue guidance bringing the Department of State's policies, programs, personnel, and operations in line with an America First foreign policy. Okay, another big one: establishing DOGE. So I guess it's official, guys. The executive order establishes the Department of Government Efficiency to implement the president's DOGE agenda. And there is an expiration date unless it's extended. I believe it was June or July in 2026. Defending women. It is the policy of the United States to recognize two sexes, male and female. I don't really think it's going to do anything other than just say that, but okay. Ending DEI programs, quote, terminate to the maximum extent allowed by law all DEI, DEIA, and environmental justice offices and positions. Reforming the hiring process, designating within 120 days of the date of this order the assistant to the president for a domestic policy in consultation with the director. Oh my gosh, so many things, guys. Shall develop and send to agency heads a federal hiring plan that brings the federal workforce only highly skilled Americans dedicated to the furtherance of American ideals, values, and interests. Okay, I think there's like two more. Don't quote me. Designating the cartel as a terrorist organization. Pretty self-explanatory. Here is the last one. You made it. Restoring names. We should reinstate the name Mount McKinley. I honestly don't know what it's called now, but that will be what that's called. And instead of the Gulf of Mexico, it will officially be the Gulf of America. There you have it. Again, I think it was 41, but don't quote me. If you want to count, go ahead. If you want to read anything in full yourself, it is all on the whitehouse.gov website. That's how I found them all. I'm not a lawyer, so I tried to do my best. Hopefully you liked my little comments here and there. But I just wanted to put this out there because my thread I made went ultra viral. So people were looking for a place to find all of the executive orders in one place. So I figured I'd make a video for people who don't like to read threads. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think of all of this.